Welcome back to the show. We got a lot to go over. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back. Yeah, you know the deal. $2.04 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com. The market is up 9.3% in the last 24 hours. Hello, welcome back, everybody. Bitcoin 55,100 plus. People say a blue light special on crypto. Ethereum 2,400 plus. We see $114 billion market cap plus here for Tether. And USDC back at the number 6 spot, and it's got a 33 billion plus market cap. XRP is 50 cents right now, slipping to number 7. We're up 12.4% on the 24 hours. Now, much like the rest of the market, we're still off by 20.4 on the 7-day, but nonetheless, we're turned around and headed back the right way. We have a chart that I think is going to make you feel better about the recent crash, at least. Maybe not great, but at least a little better. Ranging between 44 and 52 cents. You see where we're sitting at 51 right now. We will keep an eye on it, but again, going the right way. Look, on a serious note, I want to let this play very quickly. I want it to be quick and short, but if you've received a vaccine from the COVID shot and you've had any side effects at all, or you're concerned about it for you or a family member, there is something you can take right now called Spike Support, and it is a spike protein detox. I've got it on the way to me. I'll be taking it again. I've actually done the individual recommendations, but now they've put it so you don't have to buy 4 or 5 different things and then take all of that at once. They have it in one combination that you can take this, and it's more affordable. And obviously I have a discount for you guys, but take a quick listen to this.
I get calls every day of people saying, listen, I've taken 2 or 3 shots. I feel sick all over. I've had COVID. We now know that the spike protein is in the body for a very long time. There has to be detoxification. So far, the only available supplement that has a detoxifying capability with respect to dissolution of the spike protein is a Japanese product called nattokinase. Nattokinase, an endogenous oral thrombolytic, basically proteolytic enzyme. And it's nattokinase combined with some other Japanese herbs that Japanese are leading the way on this, by the way. And I'm not surprised. They're very ingenious people. They lead on many aspects of medicine. This supplement I now recommend twice a day for people who are trying to detox. This is the best we can do right now. I've tried hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, fluvoxamine, colchicine. I've tried all the drugs. I don't think the prescription drugs work, but I think some of these supplement packages really do.
Again, for the dissolution of the spike protein, right? You know, obviously ivermectin and those things work extremely well in hydroxychloroquine to help minimize the effects of COVID if you're actually sick. And speaking of which, there's a spike protein detox support that you can take. And then there is a medical emergency kit that you can get as well with ivermectin, a Z-Pack, and amoxicillin and other necessary general medications that are very hard to get should we see some kind of outbreak again. So if you want to get this, there's a discount code underneath the video. And if they ask you for a code, all you have to do is put DP Health. That's the discount code to get your 10% off, and make sure you don't mess around, because I tell you, if we have another outbreak, this may get hard to get again. Breaking right here, Google just lost a massive antitrust law. Thank goodness. It's the beginning, I hope, of what needs to be a very massive correction here over its search dominance, alleging it acted illegally to maintain its monopoly. Google is a monopolist and has acted as one to maintain its monopoly. In this article, it says basically that they were holding down and suppressing other search engine companies that were competitors while charging them to be advertising on Google. How's that? Yeah, well, and then they're making sure that Google remains dominant no matter how much ad money you put into your search engine. I tell you, that's a hell of a business if you can get it going, right? But look, it doesn't solve the problem completely. It does stop short of dismantling this behemoth monopoly. So more to come on that front. But they've been called out, and it's a start, but it doesn't solve the problem completely. We'll have to follow it for more. And right here, just so you know, that crash we saw, which really was across all sectors of the economy, certainly crypto as well, lost 1.2, see it? Billion liquidated from cryptocurrency just in the past 24 hours. That was impressive yesterday. And then here is an emergency call for an emergency Fed cut meeting right here. Take a quick listen to this.
Sends, I think, a pretty negative sign to markets because it suggests either A, the Fed is so worried about liquidity and functioning of the financial system that they need to cut aggressively, or they believe the economy is decelerating at such a rate that the Fed needs to cut that much. So I actually think the signaling, you might get a bounce in the markets, but I think the overall signaling that would send to risk assets would be a negative.
Well, let me tell you, if they have to come in and cut rates, because again, this crash was across all sectors. Now, one of the big problems here is the carry trades that are happening over in Japan, because a lot of traders, whether they be in Japan or not, can borrow the Japanese yen at 0% interest rate, and they can use that Japanese yen to go into other markets and earn returns. So I could buy and take a bunch of Japanese yen at 0% interest rate and normally go put those into U.S. Treasuries and earn 4+% on that. That's a deal all day long, unless it turns upside down. And then if it turns upside down while you're in the middle of that trade, then all of a sudden you find yourself coming up short on the Japanese yen that you originally borrowed. Now, this is a problem that I just explained that really magnifies into the trillions of dollars and certainly hundreds of billions of dollars worth of U.S. Treasuries. As of early as yesterday, we know $400 billion worth of U.S. Treasuries that Japan's holding was discussed about liquidating that $400 billion to cover some of the gap that was taking place because of this carry trade issue, right? So, again, as I've said, the knee bone's connected to the leg bone's connected to the hip bone. You know how all of this goes, right? So, all the banks, all the governments around the world, this is not mutually exclusive to Japan, what's going on here. These things are systemic. And I remind everybody about Evergrande and that collapse that we found out even months and months before we're now talking about Japan. All of these things are connected and become a cascading effect. We're going to get a turn. We saw a little taste of that turn yesterday. Now, take a listen to this quick 1-minute clip here from Jim Rickards.
And that started at 50, probably fiasco. A lot of people, if you're under 50, you probably never heard of it. And if you're over 50, you may barely recall it. But I lived through it. I negotiated that bailout. And we were hours away from closing every market in the world. That didn't happen because we did the bailout, but it was a close run thing, as Wellington said. And we were hours away from shutting every market in the world. Now, we know the hedge fund was over leveraged. Okay, fine. But it started with Russia. It started on August 17th, 1998, when Russia defaulted on their internal external debt and devalued the currency. And then that started a cascade because, Credit Suisse was a big underwriter of Russian bonds. We had some long-term capital, but we didn't lose money. We didn't lose that much money in Russian bonds. We lost money on everything else, on $1.4 trillion worth of derivatives when spreads widened because there was a full-scale global liquidity crisis. But it started with Russia. It did not start in Greenwich, Connecticut. It just ended up there. My point being, here we go again.
And there you have it. Here we go again. And look, I point out too, in the 80s, the Plaza Accord, where there was a devaluation done of the U.S. dollar, large part because Japan was one of the countries getting crushed. Sound familiar? Charles Payne from Fox says the stock market is not buying the VP Harris makeover. Just his take. Well, write it down, Charles. It's my take, too. Just in, with the collapse that was happening, take a look at this. Charles Schwab, TD, Ameritrade, and Vanguard, and E-Trade, and Fidelity, all the platforms were reportedly down yesterday. They were down. While the market was getting crushed, they were down and you couldn't get your position moved. Sound familiar? This is why I said a little self-preservation this morning, yesterday. I see. Yeah, we'd like to trade, get out of this position. The market's crashing crazy. I want to be able to move my, platform's down. Unfortunately, there's not anything we can do. Try back in a few hours, right? And this is like a unofficial circuit breaker. Don't let anyone trade. Just tell them the platform's down. Turn it off. You can hear everyone selling. Turn it off. Zach Rector reminds us the XRP Ledger Dex is working just fine. See, this is where things are going, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's going to be on a distributed ledger blockchain that will be tied into a world decentralized exchange. And there'll be no more of this circuit breaker business. Unofficial or official, right? And then here's a note. While everything was down, public company Selmer Scientific, who has about 60 million worth of Bitcoin, but they went out and bought another 101 Bitcoin at $6 million. They know what to do when the market's down. Disciplined investors buy in a down market because they know that that is where real generational wealth is created, not in an up market. You had to buy at some point. You want to buy in a down market. That's the way the smart ones do it. Just in Europe's fourth biggest hedge fund, Capella Management owns $500 million worth of Bitcoin through BlackRock and Fidelity. So what does that really mean? I'll tell you. Chad Steingraber's got it great. I tell you if you're not following this guy. BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF surpasses 1.55 billion in trading volume in the first hour of trading yesterday. You know what that means? BlackRock just ate everything that you sold. Scared money won't make you wealthy, but it'll make somebody else wealthy. Don't believe it. It's still true. Take a listen to where we're going, because the head of the Swiss 6 Digital Exchange knows exactly where we're going.
We do expect that ultimately all assets will essentially be digital assets and will live on blockchain. So one of our primary roles is to enable the transformation of the Swiss financial center into that tokenized and blockchain-based future that I believe lies ahead of us. We do expect that ultimately.
And there you have it, and I expect it too. It's lying ahead of us. And you remember they listed the world's first XRP ETP, exchange-traded product, in 2019. Come on in. Yeah, love that for us. We know they're connected to Ripple too and SBI. There are deep connections everywhere all around the world to Ripple and XRP. Don't believe it, it's still true. This is the chart I wanted to show you from Crypto Toes here. An impressive bounce across the board. He said a solid bounce from diagonal support here on XRP will update the daily close. This is what I want to say here. Notice this support line, the support channel here he's drawn. And what do you notice? There's your low. Here's a low and then a lower low. And here's that same lower low and now a higher low. And as long as we're seeing higher lows, Daddy's happy. That's how I do it. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. You're going to want to come into the Freedom Zone because boy, oh boy, have we got something you need to see. Again, it is remarkable the content that we're covering in here and the conversations that everyone are having inside of this DPMG and the Freedom Zone. If you join the DPMG, which that window is closing very soon, ladies and gentlemen, you can learn how to use XRP Ledger Automated Market Makers, gap fill your knowledge with other amazing courses and content, as well as be tapped into and around the like-minded, most smartest people in this space. I kid you not. I'm proud to be in this group. Doesn't matter that I created it. I'm just proud to be in it. These people are super smart, super resourceful, and most of them are more successful than I've ever thought of being. And that's the kind of people I want to be around. And if you do too, this is a great place for you to learn how to not only grow your wealth, but protect and maintain it as well, because that's what we're doing in there as too. So make sure you join us. If you're in the DPMG, you get the Freedom Zone for free. But if not, you can join the Freedom Zone for next to nothing. We'll see you inside. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Come on in. All right.